What is going on, everyone? Jeremy here, Unsleeved Media, and it is Ixalan pre-release week. One of the most flavorful, most exciting sets in a long time. Now, I say that not as a general, everything's so good, everything's crazy. As you know, if anything else, I'm more negative than I probably should be. But I think just as a feeling of the pulse of the community, people are excited for Ixalan. Rudy thinks it's going to be one of the top-selling sets of all time. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess I would ask you in the comment section down below. But this video is about pre-release. Each time a new set comes out, a couple of videos come out of this channel. Generally, there's a pre-release guide, a look at the mechanics, and sometimes there are sample pools. I don't know which one of those I'm going to do yet. Well, in fact, I've done the mechanics already in a separate video. But I don't know if I'll do sample pools this time. Either way, I try to help you get ready for pre-release. Now, there's certain advice with pre-releases that's kind of the same no matter what. And then there's certain advice that's Ixalan specific or set specific. So I'm going to try to bounce in between them. So really, what is pre-release? Well, it's a chance to play the set a week early. It's a sealed event that in general is supposed to be non-competitive or only slightly competitive, although your mileage may vary. I've been to some local game stores that pre-release is very competitive, and I've been to others where it's very casual. Generally, prize support dictates that. If you want really good prize support, it's going to bring out the more competitive players, and the stores with more even level prize support, that's who plays there. So if you're trying to decide if you want a more competitive environment or a more laid-back environment, take a look at the prize support ahead of time. Generally, if it's like a win-a-box type scenario, it's going to bring out a lot of grinders. But you get there, you get 6 packs, a die currently, and that's your deck. You also get a random promo that will have that day's stamped on it. You can only play with the cards that you open at that event, and you build the best 40-card deck you possibly can in the allotted time, and you go at it for as many rounds as predetermined. Most pre-releases I've been to are like 3 to 4 rounds, but sometimes they go 8 rounds, 10 rounds, depending on how many people are there, and again, how much prize support there is. For Ixalan, I want to talk about one of the first things I look at is, of course, the mechanics of the set. In this set, we have Enrage, Raid, Explore, and then double face cards, which technically isn't a mechanic, but it's something you're going to see. Enrage is an effect that triggers. Now, I've actually ranked these in a different video where I thought Explore was the best, then Enrage, then Raid. For a sealed event where you can control your synergies much less than a draft, Explore is going to be one of those late game abilities that either lets you get a land into your hand or lets you get a little better creature, or lets you scry a card to the bottom that you don't need or want. So I think for the long, grindy games of a limited sealed environment, Explore is going to be something everyone's going to want a couple of in their deck. Followed up by Enrage, which is something that triggers, for example, a 5/4 creature that deals 3 damage each time it is dealt damage, has a lot of interesting interactions. You can ping it yourself to deal damage. If it gets blocked, it deals damage. If it blocks something, it deals damage. You want to force your opponents to have to make some tough decisions. And if you're playing an aggressive deck with several enraged creatures, then this is a very good ability. Raid, again, it's kind of only good if you're ahead, and it depends what the ability is. Things like Enrage and Explore are more straightforward and easier to plan around. Now, some of the general preparations that I do in general, one thing I always do is I pre-sleeve my lands and I bring them. I bring 20 of each land pre-sleeved and enough extra sleeves that match your sleeves, so you're not fighting over the land box at your pre-release event. Time is of the essence, and the extra few minutes of deck building you can get by not having to fight over lands and, quite honestly, not having to sleeve 17 of your cards is really beneficial. Because, honestly, if you're like me, you're going to do a lot more card reading at pre-release than really any other event. for Ixalan specifically, we've got a tribal set, which honestly, most sets are tribal by some degree, in my opinion. But we have basically dinosaurs, merfolk, pirates, vampires. Again, with the tribal aspect of the set, it's kind of more valuable in planning for draft because you can control it a little better. Whereas sealed, you only get what you get. But you'll find dinosaurs in Naya colors, red, green, and white. You'll find merfolk in both green and blue, which of course makes sense. Pirates in blue, black, and red. And vampires in black and white, or Orzhov. So you could definitely see some pirate-vampire crossovers. Dinosaurs are very strong in general. So I think, again, this is good to know because they generally feed off each other in a non-pun way. They often give other creatures abilities. And so this is something... synergies are how you build a great draft deck, but they also matter in sealed. While I think the late game of sealed is more important than synergies sometimes, not always. It's kind of a coin flip. When I build for draft, I generally don't build for late game as much. Now, as a general tip with any pre-release, I always highly recommend taking at least a cursory look at the spoilers, which you can find on a site like Mythic Spoiler, although I hate to keep endorsing a site that's not paying me for it. But I'd much rather just look at the cards myself than, say, watch some YouTuber read the cards off that and watch mid-roll ads when you can just do it in your own time much quicker. The other thing I generally do for all pre-release sets is I'll use a sealed pool generator. There's lots of them out there. mtgen.net is one that I've used in the past. I'll try to find a few and list them in the description below. One of the things I think I'm at least decent at is sealed deck building. And so I always try to do a bit of a tutorial with that. So maybe Wednesday I'll do some sample deck builds out of the new set so that everyone can kind of get used to the mentality of deck building. Because another thing you want to do when you get there is maximize your time, especially for the most time-intensive thing, which is deck building. So you open all packs. I wouldn't stop and smell the roses here. You open your 6 packs, sort them by color, and CMC if you want. I generally do this. In my experience of the 5 colors, you'll probably be able to rule out 2 of them almost immediately. There are rare occasions where you're playing 5 or 4 color, but those are generally suboptimal unless you're in a set like Battle for Zendikar, where it was kind of supported with Converge. So you're going to pick your best 2 or 3 colors. You know, play 2 with a splash of a third, or just play straight 2. But the quickest way to get this decision is simply by color sorting and then CMC sorting. Then decide which bomb rares you want to play, and if a rare or mythic is worthwhile splashing for. If green is one of your core colors, splashing becomes a lot easier because a lot of green is around fixing and generating many different colors of mana. So it's hard to say. We have some dual color lands in this set at rare. Those are always kind of a bummer to open at pre-release for me, but at this time around, opening something like a Horizon Canopy isn't going to really feel that bad. In general, pre-release takes a long time. This is Ixalan. This is all pre-releases. So you want to kind of plan ahead. You want to eat a decent meal if you can. Bring some snacks and drinks if your local game store doesn't offer something. While I like local game stores that they offer this stuff, a lot of times the only thing you can get is like soda and junk food. And junk food doesn't really... I mean, yeah, if you're there for just having fun or whatever, it's totally fine. Eat some Cheetos. Make sure you have some sleeves in your car because Papa unsleeved here. Papa HQ doesn't want no Cheetos dust on his cards. But, you know, in general, I think bringing granola bar or something like less heavy is okay. I happen to be pre-releasing at TK Games in Menominee Falls at the premium event at midnight. If you want to register for that, check out the TK Games website. You'll get to play with me. And guess what? There's a retro arcade next door that you get full access to unlimited plays if you play in their premium event, and I believe he's giving away a box too, so I'd love to meet some of you at TK Games in Menominee Falls if it happens to be in the area for you. Now, there's some general rules to deck building, of course. We have the bread, which is, you know, a good rule of thumb when you're building your deck: bombs, removal, evasion, you know, things like that are things you want to keep in mind. You don't want to have, you know, you want your 23 best cards. You want to have a decent amount of creatures, in my opinion. You know, you want to have also a good curve of creatures. So you don't want a bunch of 3-drops and nothing else. You want, you know, maybe one 0 to 2 drop. You want two, at the 2 drop, you want maybe 4 to 6 creatures. At the 3 drop, maybe you want 3 to 5 creatures. At the 4 drop, you want 2 to 4. At 5, you want 1 to 3. 6, 7, and 8, maybe 0 or 2. This is reserved for only mega bombs. You don't want to start the game with 2 7-drops in your hand. You don't want to start the game without any 2-drops in your hand. So you want to plan around that. Now, this set has some, you know, stuff with Explore will help you manage your deck a little bit better. But again, you still want to take that stuff into account. When you are getting ready, again, I've talked about bringing snacks. Guys and girls, wear a belt, take a shower, wear deodorant. These are not complicated things, and I will stop reminding you when I stop smelling people's BO, okay? It's gross. Take a shower, put deodorant on. If you can't, if you're coming straight from work, play on Saturday. Play a different day. There's multiple days all week. Don't be that guy or gal. Don't stink it up. It's gross. Yuck. The other thing, the spirit of... Now, I want to talk about how to win. You have to open the best pool. This is quite simply the only way you can win a sealed event, in my opinion. It's the highest percentage way. Now, skill does factor in. But in my experience, most of the time, the people that win pre-releases are both a good player and opens a very good deck. Okay, so if you want to go in and you want to play to win, you have to be willing to accept that at least 50% of your odds are not going to match. Like 50% of the likelihood of you winning lies in complete randomness. Drafting, I think you have a little more control. Bombs still matter, but I feel like you can work around it. But as long as you're willing to accept that, and then you want to play around making the least amount of mistakes, I think that's really the only way you can win. Outside of that, you know, other things I like to bring are dice, a playmat, sleeves, top loaders, if you want to protect anything that you might open. This set, we don't have expeditions anymore, so it's like less of a deal. I mean, you could open foil planeswalkers or something like that. But, you know, in general, that's all you kind of need. If you want to bring trades, do bring them, but also make sure to keep an eye on your stuff. Don't leave it laying around, because that kind of stuff tends to walk away. I'm very excited for the Ixalan pre-release. Maybe the way I did this video won't be appreciated because I try to jump around from just basic pre-release advice to Ixalan specific. I like red, green, white dinosaurs a lot. I think dinosaurs are pushed. I think big fatties are great in pre-release because you need basically bunker busters for those long stalemate games. But again, I'm going into it knowing that I have really no control over what I open. My only goal for pre-release is to have fun, and that's what I try to do every time. Sometimes I drop and leave early, but that doesn't mean I didn't have fun. I try to, I don't say good game to opponents. I always say thanks for the games. I don't like when people say good game to me after they destroyed me, and I don't like to say it after I beat someone. So I usually say thanks for the games. I try to get people's names. I try to get people's numbers. Pre-release is when a lot of casuals come out. This is a great time to find new people to play EDH with, new people to play kitchen tabletop Magic with, and in general, just meet new people, meet new friends. So go into pre-release. Don't be an a-hole. Make sure you meet people, and that for sure is a surefire way to ensure success for your Ixalan pre-release. Good luck, everyone. Look forward to seeing all your pulls down below. Let me know what you want to open. We'll see you this weekend. I'll be at TK Games.